Afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Leeds View for the post-match or match review of a tough day at the office, a game that we probably didn't expect to get a huge amount for, but we will talk about the game in a bit of detail as well. I will wait patiently for the comment to tell me that I shouldn't criticize a performance because that's what it is, or that the owners are responsible for the results. But we'll get into it in a bit more detail. We'll talk about the goals. We'll talk about the issues in the second half for Leeds. And there was some decent stuff in the first half, despite going in 1-0 down. Weather-affected game as well. Your comments will be all floating around there on the screen. But there's one comment there that just popped out, and I want to pop it up because it is all the goals were cutbacks. Every single one of them. Let's go back to Jesse Marsh goals, where every single goal we conceded was a ball to the end line and then cut back, or someone running in and turning around and coming back in a square ball. And so there'll be criticisms of the goalkeeper, there'll be criticisms of the back four, but if you're conceding goals from midfielders running from deep into free areas to have free open goals, then you've got to be critical of the midfielders that didn't track those runs. And it's been an issue for Leeds probably for a part of this season when we have conceded goals. They've been goals that have probably been preventable at times. They've been goals that it's a case of either switching off or not tracking runners. And that's the Premier League. That is what it is. If you switch off or if you don't track all those runners, if you give anyone any kind of space at all, you're going to get hurt. The plus for today probably is that a lot of the results in the other games have probably gone our way a little bit, outside of Nottingham Forest managing to get something off Manchester United in a 2-2 draw there. But Arsenal beat Burnley, didn't beat them by 5, only beat them by 2. And Fulham beat Wolves, who, well, doesn't help us with Fulham. They'll obviously push away from us a little bit, but it does keep Wolves pretty much. Wolves are gone. I think we can all say Wolves are probably gone. A lot of stuff to get stuck into, but break this game down to two halves. But there is a real lack of movement from Leeds off the ball. We've talked about it when we've done well, although I've not been allowed to speak about it when we have done well. But there's been an issue with being static and being a bit passive off the ball. This is player stuff. This is not a manager stuff. This is the players. The players have got to be able to run and show for the ball. And too many times when Leeds got on the ball today, players were either already in their positions, nobody was coming short looking for it, there was no runners off the ball, and a lack of creation as well. The change in system to the second half, I'll be very honest, when I saw us go 4-2-3-1, my initial reaction was, I'm not going to criticize it, because I've been asking Daniel Farke to do something a little bit different in games, and he does that in this game. But then when the game finishes, you can probably look back on it a little bit and think, well, we lost the midfield completely, didn't we? And then all of a sudden, it was just runner after runner after runner. There were issues in the first half, but there were some positives. Leeds' defensive shape in that first half, for me, limited the amount of space that Brighton were able to play in. They blocked passing lanes really well. They were intercepting balls. They were doing really well in defense. But when we won the ball back, some very sloppy passing at times. Sean Longstaff had one of those games in the first half where he kept giving the ball away, or he's getting caught in possession. The last time I criticized him for doing that, he came out in the second half in an absolute blinder, but not to be the case today. But that's a good Brighton side, very well managed with really good players. But the interesting part was when they had the ball, they looked like they could build up with relative relaxation. They could just pass the ball around and move past us. For us, it looked like we were trying really hard to do everything, and the second half just got away from us. But yeah, a lot of things that we were being good at that we weren't good at. There's question marks to be asked possibly about the shape of the side and what the plan is with this team. Like, do we deliberately just play statically? Like when Ampadu gets the ball off the back four and turns to play out, are we supposed to be standing still off the ball, or is someone supposed to be running for it? We never see the wingers cross over and swap over. We never see anyone dropping short and looking for the ball. DCL fairly isolated as well today. I thought Lucas Mecha, when he came on, maybe shows a little bit, but if you look at the XG of the game as well, 2.9 for them, which is bang on what they did. They took their big chances, which good sides do. Leeds 0.4. We didn't really create absolutely anything in that game. Paul sent me to something positive. Paul, I'm going to make this really simple, because I genuinely get sick of coming on here now after games. And when I say something positive about a negative result, I'm told not to be positive. And when I say something critical about a positive result, I'm told not to be critical. So I'm just going to say to people today, I'm going to say whatever I want. Okay? I'm going to analyze the game. This is a match review. I will look at this again later on today. Tomorrow we'll have the reviews, and tomorrow we'll have the reviews, and we'll have the breakdown where we actually go through the goals in a little bit more detail, and we look at where all the goals came from, who was responsible for them. But in that first half, we went in 1-0 down. It was a goal that was probably easy to stop, and outside of that, we contained them. Did we do anything on the ball? No. But off the ball, we limited a decent side to absolutely nothing. So there were positives there. The second half, it falls apart again. But we've seen this from Leeds. And before the game, if you do watch the stats pack or the match preview that we put out, in that I showed that 77% of Leeds goals this season have all come in the first half. Only 11% between the half, 45 minutes, and the 74th minute, and only 11% between the 75th and the end of the game. So Most of Leeds' goals come in the first half. So Leeds, any chance Leeds had to do anything in this game, it was going to be in that area. It is not that simple that we just got beaten by a better team. That is passing the buck completely. That is what we'd be told after the game. Well, they're an established side. We're just lucky to be here. We should just be happy to be a Premier League side. I'm not that way inclined at all. We could have done an awful lot more in that game. And I'll tell you what I think Leeds could have done. And I'm going to go back to it, and people are going to get sick of hearing it. Against Everton, the first game of the season, and against Newcastle, we were aggressive. We were intense. We were in their face. We didn't sit back. And since those two games, we have sat back. We have been passive in possession. We have sat off people. We haven't been aggressive. We haven't been intense. And that's what you need to do against these sides. I don't expect to beat these teams. I don't. I didn't expect to go to Brighton today and get anything. I thought maybe a point would be a good result on the road. But you have to play a certain way if you want to get results. And we're too open. We're too easy to play against. There's too many free runners off the ball. That's stuff people are tracking it. I've said it since the first game of the season. We ball watch way too much. We are all focused on the ball, and the players are just running beyond us. And they're things that are preventable. And that's the thing for me. I'm not asking Leeds to overnight become a top 6 side. I'm not asking for Leeds United to turn things around. I didn't expect to win this game. That's the premise of this whole thing is I didn't expect Leeds to take anything from this. They took all of their chances that they were given, but every single one of their chances went to a free player. Completely free in our penalty area. Now, under Jesse Marsh, the manager was hammered for that. Absolutely hammered. I go back to the Spurs game when Tyler Adams managed to lose a player on the halfway line who ran all the way into the box and the ball was squared to him. He just tapped it into the penalty area. So that keeps happening. That keeps happening in this team as well. And we're conceding so many goals. So many goals. I don't mind Leeds losing. I really don't mind Leeds losing. There's a way to win. There's a way to lose. But to keep shipping the amount of goals that we're shipping against these sides. They're a team that were 1 point above us. 1 point. They're missing 7 players coming into this game. I'll give you the list of players that they're missing. These are all starting players for them, by the way. And again, not saying we should win the game. Right? But just to give you an idea. And again, in the preview, we also said that most of their goals come from the first half. They'd no Adam Webster, they'd no Hinselwood, they'd no Veltman, they'd no Matoma, no Gruda, no Solly Marsh, no James Milner. They were missing from their side today. And they've comfortably beaten a team that they were 1 point ahead of coming into this. I think if it had been 1-0 going out of this game, I would have said, look, right, fine, there's respectability on that. But to get thumped by people, that's my issue. So we'll go through the goals. We'll talk about it. I need to look back on the goals a bit more. So if you are interested, the breakdown will be out tomorrow. We'll give the match ratings for each player. I want to watch it back a second time so I'm accurate in what I'm saying. And then we'll look at every single goal. But I'm not going to look at just the goals. I'm also going to look at the chances that they had because Perry makes a couple of good saves. He makes a couple of mistakes as well. But there's an awful lot of chances that they had that should have been more difficult, if nothing else, for them. And that's a part for me. But yeah, good side, Brighton. Didn't expect to get a win. That is the basis of everything that we're going to say. If we go through the games, first 10 minutes, I thought we were actually all right. We limited them to playing in their own half, which I like to see Leeds do. Didn't have a lot of possession. They had 66% possession in the first 10 minutes. And they're away from home. There's going to be a bit of that there, but we limited them. But the second I praised Leeds and the watch along, I went, that's really good. We're holding them. We get caught. It's a ball over the top. Okafor doesn't track the runner. He just makes a little run beyond them. Perry comes out probably too far to cut it back, but he's got 4 players on the goal line for Leeds. 4 Leeds players are there. And it goes to a completely free Danny Welbeck. None of them decided to mark Welbeck. They all ran to the goal line, all watching the ball, not watching Welbeck, and he gets a tap in. So, yeah, that was the first goal. Leeds then get a chance. Sean Longstaff ball through. Bogle runs into the penalty area, squares it across the goal, and DCL just can't get there. It's too far ahead of him, but that was Leeds' first real chance. Half an hour in, I said that Leeds have had plenty of the ball, but not doing a huge amount with it. Just no movement off the ball for Leeds. But they've dealt with our possession. We had 82% possession at that point after 29 minutes. 33 minutes, then Brighton get a chance. Ball to the edge of the box. Welbeck shoots, puts it wide. 37 minutes, I wrote down, we lack movement in possession. When we do get the ball, nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. And again, that's not a manager problem. I was waiting for it. As a club success driven by the owners, happy with current state of play. It's amazing that many people go straight to the ownership straight away when we lose a game of football. But I think it's too early to talk about. I'm not getting sack of manager territory because this isn't manager issues. This is players running with players. This is players watching their marker and not watching the ball. That's a player problem. That's a player's job. But yeah, no movement when we have the ball at all. Completely static. Completely. 40-minute Brighton get a chance. Ampadu loses the ball. We'll get to that in a minute. Loses the ball in the middle of the park. Brighton counter. Bial pushes them across the park. It was Minte gets pushed over and over and over. He does really well to send them across. Joe Rodon comes in and cuts off the other angle. Good defending by both centre-backs. They only give him one angle to shoot, and that's wide of the post. So good defending there. But going at that point, after 40 minutes, Leeds had 54% possession and one chance. They had 46 and 8 chances. 45 minutes, Leeds get a chance. DCL goal. Flicks on a ball to Okafor, who crossed the ball low, across the box. Aronson gets it, turns around, squares the Longstaff, and he smashes the ball over the crossbar, takes a slight deflection along the way. First half, I kind of wrote down maybe the win's a factor. On the performance in the second half, maybe it wasn't at all a factor. But yeah, we limited them to some chances. They were all far out. But again, the goals come from free players in positions that you've just got to mark them. And you've just got to be careful and do your job. Every player has to do their job in possession and out of possession. I don't think there's enough accountability. We talked about this a few weeks ago on the podcast where we said the ownership have accountability and not finishing the puzzle. The manager has accountability and not being flexible enough with his tactics. He changed his formation today. And the players have accountability for what they do when they walk out on the pitch. And for me, the players aren't taking accountability right now. And the amount of players that are running beyond people. Ethan Ampadu keeps losing players, keeps losing them. Sean Longstaff in the first half, the amount of times he gets caught in possession or gives the ball away. And it looked in the first half, and our chat was saying this on the watch along, that they were very happy for Leeds to have possession because they knew once they won it back, boom, they were gone. Talk about runners off the ball. They were tearing forward. So, yeah, that was a problem. But I wanted to see a second half. In the first half, the positives for me were defensive shape was good. We were blocking passing lanes, and the midfield was doing the defensive work well. The negatives in the first half were we weren't fast enough in and out of possession, sloppy passes from the midfield, giving the ball away. Ethan Ampadu gave it away a couple of times on the edge of the box as well. And that wasn't good enough. And that's a really good point from Defy, does it? The work ethic is poor. It is. There's not enough. There's not enough people wanting the ball when we get it. There's not enough players trying to run into space. There's a couple every week you do it, and the rest of them standing static watching it. Second half, we actually started the second half slightly better than I've seen us start this season, but 46 minutes, immediately they get it, they have a chance. And it's another counter-attack. Rutter this time to Minte, and that was looking like it was going to be the avenue for the goal. Ball is put across, Heck shoots, saved by Perry, good save by Perry. 48 minutes, another Brighton chance. Rutter, long shot this time, clips the outside of the post. Tanaka did enough to get close to him to put it off. 55, I wrote down, we are very open. There is space out wide. Sorry, they are very open. There was space in the wings for Okafor. We just weren't getting the ball quick enough to him or Bogle. There was a half a chance from Gomez. Then he started to come into the game, and Gomez starts to look like prime Maradona in the second half, but getting space. And at 55 minutes, at still 1-0, I wrote him down, Gomez is starting to get too much space. And then Leeds changed. DCL has a Leeds chance, sorry. DCL has a shot. Goodmunson wins it. DCL cuts inside and smashes it straight away. Good. But that was it. That was pretty much it for Leeds' chances. One more came between the 56th minute and the 90th minute. 60 minutes, a chance. Sean Longstaff goes off for Stack. Tanaka goes off for DJ. As a change in shape to a 4-2-3-1. I had no problem with it initially because you want to see him try different things. I think the 3-5-2 is a change everyone kind of wants to see, you know, but this is there. Zero intensity from this side. And it was there. It was there in the first 2 games of the season. We did have it. It was there before. And then in 63 minutes, Brighton turned the screw a little bit. And all of a sudden, that space that they were getting, those gaps, they were starting to pop up, and Leeds are starting to look leggy. And Leeds fade in games. And if you look at the statistics, Leeds concede most of their goals towards the back end of the games. Second half is where Leeds concede most of their goals. Minte goes down the right-hand side, crosses it low. Jorginho Rutter steps over it. Now, it's debatable whether it's Bial or Ampadu who doesn't track the runner, but somebody doesn't track the runner, and it's Gomez. And he taps it in, completely free in the Leeds 6-yard area for a tap-in. 64 minutes, DCL comes off for Metches. 69 minutes, goal for Brighton again. Poor ball out by Perry. He dinks the ball over to Jayden Bogle. But even at that point, there's 3 players of Leeds over there, and there's still a chance to get it. Rutter just kicks it over his head. It's going out of play. And Jayden Bogle miscontrols it instead of just clearing it. And Rutter picks it off him, runs into the penalty area, goes out left, squares it back again. That ball again gets squared across, and Gomez is completely free again to tap the ball into an empty net. 71 minutes, I wrote down, Leeds keep losing the ball. No intensity, no tackling, no pressure. Way too much space for Brighton to get the ball. 75th minute is a chance for them. Gomez shoots again. He's completely free. Good save by Perry. BR blocks the follow-up. Good work by him. And I said Brighton just looked comfortable in the ball, and Leeds looked like everything is hard work. Even trying to get the ball back was tough work for Leeds. 82 minutes, Brighton have another chance. Good save by Perry. Ayari is then free on the edge of the box, and he has a shot this time as well, and it gets blocked. But again, another free player on the edge of Leeds penalty area, picking off shots. 84 minutes, Leeds get a chance. James goes down the right-hand side, plays the ball through for Lucas Mecha. His first touch probably takes him too wide, and then it's a decent shot across the keeper. He makes a decent save. Leeds get the second ball, clip it back in, and this time it's Anton Stack with a shot, and the keeper saves it. And that was pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, at that point, I'm writing down things like, it's too open from a Leeds perspective. We're not close enough to them. We're not marking. We're not tracking runners. We concede way too many goals. Way too many goals. Now, to be very clear on this, the criticism about Leeds not getting their attacking players is a valid criticism. Daniel Farke will lean to it. But Daniel Farke won't talk about the amount of goals that Leeds are conceding. Leeds got every single one of their defensive and their midfield targets, and we are conceding multiple goals in every single game. We haven't had a clean sheet since the 30th of August. None at all. I mean, Crypto saying Tanaka was pants going forward. Yeah, but the other two midfielders were pants defending. At least he was defending. So yeah, we weren't getting anything out of the other two midfielders. So, you know, plenty of blame to go around. Let's not pick our favourites. But yeah, there's lots of criticism right across the park. And again, to be fair to Crypto, there's your comment. To be fair to you, it's player responsibility. It's player responsibility again for me, just not doing enough there as well. But yeah, we're too easy to play against. We're too nice. We let teams create too many chances against us. We're too open. We're not aggressive enough. We're not intense enough. We're not defending well enough. And Daniel Farke has gotten every single one of his defensive targets. He can talk all he wants about not getting a right winger. One player, a right winger. What about the rest of them? Not defending well enough. So if the recruitment if they want to criticize the recruitment for not getting the attacking player, one attacking player that we didn't get, that's fair. That is valid. And that is a failure by the owners. But Leeds got every single midfield target, and they got all the defensive targets in very, very early. So for me, yeah, they were. Midfield was poor today. Really was poor. Fair play to me. But yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. I wanted to see it. I saw a little bit of against West Ham last week in the first half, but I want to see Leeds return to that intensity that they had before. That was there against Everton. That was there against Brighton. That gave us so much hope for this season that we could push on. But yeah, again, Crypto making a good point. None of what I'm saying takes away from the fact that this was always going to be a tough game. This was never going to be an easy game. It was never a game we were going to pick up points easily from, but we've got to do certain things a little bit better to, if nothing else, give you a chance of getting a point. Nottingham Forest have managed to get a point against a poor Nottingham Forest side, I should say, have managed to get a point against a Manchester United form inside. Burnley have only conceded 2 against Arsenal. You know, again, it's just about limiting the amount of chances teams get and making it a bit more difficult for them. But yeah, we've got to, unfortunately, swallow this, take it, learn the lessons. Are we learning the lessons this season? Are we learning them? Because again, I don't mind, and thanks, Paul. If you could hit the like on this, that would be great. Even if you don't like what I'm saying. If you're watching it, stick a like on the video. That helps the channel out a huge amount. I appreciate that. And I always say we're not always going to agree with things, especially immediately after a game, before there's a chance to digest everything fully. We're never going to agree on everything, and I'm okay with that. I won't be a dick to you if I don't agree with you. You don't be a dick to me if you don't agree with me. But we can disagree with each other and put your comments in the chat. Tell me where you want to see Leeds going. Tell me where you think the issues were today. Tell me what you think Leeds did well as well. It's an open conversation. We should have dialogue about it. So, but just for me, I want to see Leeds be a bit more aggressive. I want to see us learning lessons. I want to see us getting closer to players. I want to see us being more defensively solid. So that at least if we're not going to score goals, let's not concede so many goals in games, you know? That's a massive problem. I go back through Leeds games so far this season. We'll have a quick look at it, actually. I'll throw up my screen. We have a chat about it. But it's so many goals. It's every game. It's 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2. I'll pull up the results here real quick. I'll just turn off the overlay for 2 seconds. I'll pop this up on the screen. Just talk about the amount of goals that we're conceding. And again, this is not taken away from the fact that we didn't get the attacking players. That is a given. Absolute given. Okay. But if we look at this, I'll have a quick look at that. Goals conceded Leeds this year. 3 against Brighton, 1 against West Ham, 2 against Burnley, 2 against Spurs, 2 against Brighton, 1 against Wolves, 1 against Fulham. And then we go back to the start of the season where it was, well, Newcastle and Everton, 5 against Arsenal. So for me, that's the big issue here. It's probably not even the scoring goals. Because again, against certain sides and against teams like this, we're probably not going to score an awful lot of goals. And we're not going to create an awful lot of chances. But it means you've got to make sure you're not conceding opportunities. They had so many. That could have been 5. It could have been 5. Perry makes a very good save towards the end. 2 good saves in the second half. But you're asking an awful lot of your goalkeeper and your defender when your midfielders aren't tracking runners. and aren't marking players. Because if Rutter turns around and tries and squares that ball back to Gomez, and Ethan Ampadu is standing beside Gomez, he doesn't score. Or if Sean Longstaff is there, or if Anton Stack is there, whoever's in midfield, Tanaka is there, whoever it is, if they're there, the goals don't happen. But we're watching the ball, and we've done it on the breakdown. Launched me pen, but I've got another one. Throw that across there in a minute. But at least if we're stopping them from getting opportunities, clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities, then they don't score as many goals. And that to me is where the problems lie. So it's player responsibility for me. I'm not going to criticize the manager today on this because I don't think it's necessarily his fault. I do think it's a case of the players not doing their jobs out of possession. And when they get the ball, they're too slow to move it. They're too static. And they've got to start taking more responsibility to get things going. But we knew this was going to be a tough league. I'd like to see that 3 not happen again. I'd like to see us be a little bit more tight at the back. Burnley still not conceding huge amounts of goals this season. So there is a way to do it. But yeah, I don't think anyone expected us to win this game today. I think we would have all been very happy with a point. The record at Leeds, the MX is not great. But let's just be a bit tougher to play against, especially in the second half of games. We seem to just fade in games. Again, I'll throw it up on screen. I'll show you these real quick. I'll talk about them, I should say, real quick. Leeds United this season. If I can find my notes. I actually can't get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Leeds have scored 77% of their goals in the first half. 11 between 45 and 74. 75 and 90 is 11 as well. So we do fade out of games. Brighton scored a bulk of their goals in the second half. They concede most of their goals in the first half. So we had to have a very strong first half. And we didn't do that. And that was where it was going to be. You look at, and they can say, people can say data doesn't tell you everything, but it does tell you that Brighton can see goals in the first half and Leeds scored them in the first half. So that was going to be the avenue. But yeah, we're going to Nottingham Forest game now, and we know that we have to do something in this game. Their form is turning around. Leeds' form is, well, I won't say dipping because it's probably exactly what it should be, to be fair. But again, the issue for me is I just want to see less goals scored against us. We can lose games, but concede less goals. And that's where it is for me. But that's where it is. People saying Farke, etc. I mean, that's going to come up every time we lose a game. Farke said it himself, when you draw a game, that's going to come up. So, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to just talk about the manager because there's culpability from the owners. There's culpability from the manager. Of course there is. Of course, every manager is responsible. Daniel Farke knows that as well. But the players have got to do the basics of the game better. They've got to. And a lot of today, if you focus solely on Daniel Farke, then you're taking responsibility away from the players to do their jobs. Daniel Farke can't run for players. Daniel Farke can't tackle for players. Daniel Farke can't mark for players. He has to. None of the goals came from a player he was marking. You know, I've seen it online. I've already been told people are blaming Perry and BL for everything. Pascal Stroke showed the last time we were in this league that he's not at the level of this league. Pascal Stroke's a good footballing player, but there's nothing about today that would suggest that a Pascal Stroke in there would do better. I'd like to see Pascal Stroke against the sides that we will expect him to pick up points with because he can play forward, he's a good baller, and he can do all that kind of stuff. But there's games for it. But if we're going to start picking out one player, one individual, and pointing at them, what are we doing? Because Gomez is the midfielder and he scores all the goals, you know, outside of Welbeck's one. So we just got to do the basics well. Track your runners. Mark your player. Tackle them. Get close to them. Limit space. Do what you did in the first half with a bit more aggression. A bit more intensity to Leeds. Be tough to beat. Be annoying to play against. Be irritating to play against. We've done that before. We should have that in our locker, and it's not world-beating stuff. Asking us to outplay sides probably is tougher to say, and I won't say that because I don't think it is, but we've got to be harder to beat. We've got to stop conceding so many goals. And if we lose 1-0, we lose 1-0. That's what it is for me. You know, we didn't create enough chances today. We had 2 shots on target, 2 shots on goal in the entire game. We had an XG of 0.28. They had an XG of 3. They scored 3. It's pretty much exactly where it is. But yeah, and Crypto is again saying, tackle. Jesus, tackle somebody. That's it. So my criticism today is focused purely on what went on the pitch in the second half. There was a lot of first half I thought that we did relatively well. Limited space. Played with a mid-block. Probably too slow. But at least from a defensive perspective, outside of one moment where, again, we don't track a runner for the first ball. We don't track a runner for the second goal where the goal goes in. And then the second half, both goals come from players being completely free. So, look, that's the problem for me. And Paul said it here as well, and he's dead right. Stop showing him so much respect. Get stuck into them, you know? I don't think Sean Dyche is going into Nottingham Forest and he's not telling them to get stuck into every single team play against. I'm not saying I want Sean Dyche as a manager. I absolutely don't. But you've got to be aggressive. If you can't play, you've got to be tough to beat. Got to find a middle ground. And, you know, we sit back too often as well. But today, not the issue. Today, the issue was very much on not tracking players, ball watching again, and not being physical enough. That's it for me. So, yeah, that's what it's going to be. I'm going to watch it back again, probably in the morning. I don't look at it again tonight. And then tomorrow I'll have a video out which will give the player ratings, which will probably be harsh, but you can let me know yours. Player ratings are subjective. They're just a personal opinion. You can let me know what you think. And then I'll also do a breakdown on the goals and the chances and who was responsible for marking who and where the chances came from. We'll look at that tomorrow. But outside of that, look, we dust this off. We go again. Nottingham Forest becomes a more important game. If you could stick a like on the video as well, that'd be really appreciated. So, yeah, we've just got to be a little bit more defensively solid and do the minimum parts of our game a little bit better. They're a good side. They play with a lot of attacking flair, a lot of pace. It was always going to be tough. But yeah, it is what it is. And we dust ourselves off and we go again. Got one more game before the international break. And then we come into a run of games where we've got to start not conceding goals because that's going to be a hell of a run November, December. So listen, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. Different opinions or not, I always appreciate it. So thank you very much for popping in. Outside of that, we'll go again. I'll talk to you soon, folks. I'll see you tomorrow for the video. Outside that, mind yourself. Have a good evening. See you later.